Hello, and welcome to Drama Club. This is our third session of our 6 sessions. I'm so glad that you've come back today, or maybe you're new. So if you're new, welcome. And if you've been here before, welcome back. Today I have some guests. Might not be the usual guests you might be thinking about, but I'd like to introduce you to, this is my special guest, Lavender. And you know that lavender has a really, really lovely smell. It's a really lovely plant. And then I have my special guest, Basil, here. In America, they call this plant Basil. And that also smells so good, and you can taste it as well. And finally, I have Rosemary, okay? And that's kind of not an uncommon name for a woman. So Rosemary's here. Hello, Rosemary. And she's just so wonderful. So I'm so happy to actually have these special guests here today in my home studio here in Philadelphia. And it's August already. Can you believe it? I can't believe it. I mean, so it's even August here. So I may be 5 hours behind you, but I'm still in the same month. And I can't believe how this summer is just flying by. Still beautiful out here. Still really, really hot. Incredibly hot. But I think what we need to do is maybe just kind of like have a little kind of regrouping, a little bit of regathering. Let's just have a few breaths before we kind of introduce ourselves. I can see there's a few people on. It would be really lovely if you could kind of go onto the chat and just say hello. So Adrian, why don't you kick us off by saying hello? Say hello. Tell the world you're here. Okay, and just maybe give me your name, and it'd be really lovely to kind of know who's watching, who's out there, who's kind of, maybe thinking about things. And if you have any ideas and everything, that would be wonderful to hear. But let's start with just some breathing in. So actors always start in drama with breathing. So first thing I want you to do is make your belly really, really fat. And breathing in, and then breathing out. And this time, let's breathe in. And let's have a big sigh. Oh. And then one last breathing in. And let's have a funny sound that comes out. I like making ridiculous sounds. It's a really good thing that nobody actually is around to hear them, other than you, of course. But there's nobody in the house right now, which is really great. So let's start with our feeling sculpt. So for those of you who haven't been here, what we normally do is we start off with like a freeze frame of how we're feeling at this moment. So if you were feeling really energetic, you might do a freeze frame like this. That actually also might be like a really scary one. That might be kind of like a raptor sort of like freeze frame. But if you were feeling really excited, you might look like something like if you're feeling really tired. If you're feeling quite happy, you might. If you're feeling surprised. If you're feeling suspicious. And you can freeze or you can move. But these are all things that tell us, using your face, your body, everything you've got, how you might be feeling. And how we're feeling, often people can kind of tell, can't they? I mean, sometimes we can hide it. But what's the use of hiding it, especially in drama? Because drama is all about letting those things out. Kind of connecting with how you're feeling right now and thinking about, how am I going to do this? How am I going to use these things to tell my story? So first I want to do a little warm up, because it's really important that we did a bit of breathing. We did a bit of funny sound making, but we can do some more of that later. Okay, but I want you to kind of like take your elbows, okay? And this is a warm up for your whole body. Okay, so use your elbows, and you're going to use your elbows to wiggle. And what's really funny, we're going to do it. With this wiggle warm-up, it warms up everything. So I'm going to do it again because I think I really need a warm-up today. Uh-oh. He's back. All right, for those of you who've been here for the last couple of weeks, you know that there is a fly in the house that is absolutely torturing me, okay? And I'm always trying to get to him. And I don't want to kill him. I don't want to hurt him. But I don't want him to be here either. So I'm trying to swat him away. And swat him away. And every time I seem to swat him away somewhere, he comes back somewhere else. And there he is, and I'm swatting, and I'm swatting, and I'm swatting, and get that pesky fly. Woo! Woo! And he's giving me a warm-up too, so I feel feel like I need a drink. I really do. So today I have my customary water, but I also have lemonade. And this lemonade, it's not like the lemonade we have in the UK. When we talk about lemonade here in the States, what we usually mean is we mean lemons. So we mean sort of lemons and water and probably a healthy dose of sugar. This has a little bit of sugar in it, but this is a really, really nice and refreshing drink. What kind of refreshing drinks do you need right now? I know it's been really hot in the UK, so I'm wondering, what are you drinking? What are you drinking now that's kind of really refreshing and make you feel good? Again, you can kind of answer in the chat if you want, or you could just answer to yourself, or you can answer to me. I mean, I won't hear you, but that's okay. That's all right. As long as you're kind of there, you're engaged. Really, really nice to have some lemonade. So, in addition to kind of warming everything up all at once and kind of having a lot of energy, one of the things that actors need to do is being really conscious of all of their body parts. So I'd like to introduce this exercise to you, which is called Pinocchio. And it's called Pinocchio because when you think about where Pinocchio started, he was just a block of wood. So I'd like you to imagine yourself as a block of wood. And you are going to come alive very, very slowly. So I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to be this block of wood and I'm going to start at the top. And you can see just my forehead is moving. And now my eyes are opening and I'm talking to you. So of course my mouth is moving, but you could take more time to make that happen. And I can't wiggle my ears. Can you wiggle your ears? Adrian, can you wiggle your ears? It'd be really, really nice to know somebody could wiggle their ears. I'm not very good at that. Okay, now my neck. Ooh, I'm just coming alive. And now I'm moving down my shoulders. Ooh, yeah. Oh, that feels really, really good, especially because I've been this block of wood. And now I'm going to just move my chest around. But I still can't move my legs or anything on the bottom, anything from the waist. And now, I'm going to bend at the waist. Oh, wow. Oh, I've got hips. I've got joints. I've got elbows. I've got shoulders. Oh, and I am very, very, very slowly. I can walk. I can walk. I'm Pinocchio. I'm a real boy. Remember, Pinocchio was a puppet and everything was on strings. So now if you imagine yourself moving from a block of wood to being actually somebody standing. And have a look at your feet. We don't always look at our feet, do we? We don't always pay attention to them, but they're really, really important. So say hello to your feet. Hello, my feet. Hello. And give them like a little stamp. Nothing too, loud. Otherwise people might think that you're stamping and that you're very, very angry. Okay, but give them a little, just wake them up a little bit, and maybe kind of do a little pivot on your feet. Oh, my toes are waking up. I have to confess something to you. I broke one of my toes. I broke my little toe this week. I ran straight into something. I wasn't paying very much attention, and I broke my little toe. And it hurts a little bit, but I can still move my feet around, so I'm okay. So if I can move my toes, I think you can move your toes. Adrian, I hope you are over there at the point. And I hope you're wiggling your toes right now, okay? Because, if you don't have a broken toe, and if you have your feet in shoes, I think you should take them off right now as long as the surface is okay and you're fine. Okay, but have a look at those feet. And I'd like you to kind of put those feet sort of like just hip width apart. So your hip bones are here, and I want your feet to be directly underneath them. Can you do that? Great. So that's like a really good balance posture. And for an actor, that's what you want. You want to basically be able to be balanced and be able to move. So if that pesky fly comes back, you can get him. You can swat him away, and you can get rid of him, because that's really, really what we want. So, I realize I actually didn't tell you how I was feeling today when we were talking about the face sculpt, and it's quite a good thing to start doing your freeze frames from this balance posture. So today, I am feeling that was my thoughtful. That was my best thoughtful. How was it? Was it okay? Was it all right? Did it look like thoughtful? I'm going to do it again. Yeah, and I've been thinking a lot. And I think I'm thinking a lot because I'm thinking about the 5 senses. And that's what we're going to be thinking about right now. So I'd like to start with the sense that we probably use the most. Okay? I mean, there might be people out there who are visually impaired who can't see, and maybe what they see is they see something in their imagination. But for those of us who actually can physically see, I'm just wondering if you can pinpoint 5 things right now that you can physically see. What are 5 things that you can see? And if I look up and I look around my room, I can see there's a candlestick, I can see that there's a music center, I can see that there's a lamp, I can see that there's a sort of like a statue, and I can see that there's a painting. So those are 5 things that I can see. What 5 things can you see? Because perception and seeing and looking, these are all really, really, really important things for creating good drama. Okay, we want to be aware of this sense that we use and sometimes people think we overuse. Got those 5 things? If anybody wants to kind of tell me on the chat kind of what maybe one of those 5 things is, you don't have to write all 5 things. That's a lot of typing. You might not want to do that. Okay, so let's move on to 4 things that you can hear. And again, not everybody can hear in the way that we do. So people might not be able to hear things, or they might be able to hear partial things, and that's okay. What are 4 things that you can hear right now? And you might want to close your eyes, because when we close our eyes, we often awaken our other senses. So I can hear the air conditioner, because let me tell you, people, it is not possible to live here in the summer and not have air conditioning. I'm so grateful for that. So I can hear the air conditioner. There's a bus outside. It doesn't go up this road, it goes up a neighboring road, but I can hear that. I can either just hear like the click of like something in the house. It's not really anything identifiable, but you know how houses just creak. This is quite an old house, so they just kind of has a little bit of a creak. And it's so quiet. I can hear my heart beating. I can hear it. I really focus and I really concentrate. I can hear what's going on for me too, inside. So those are my 4 things. Adrian, do you have one thing? Anybody else out there? One thing? What's one thing that you can hear? All right, let's see. Touch. Again, we've talked a little bit about touch in these sessions, because touch is something that we can't do all the time right now, because of the coronavirus. So what can you touch right now that's safe for you to touch? So I can touch this wobble cushion. And I like this, because this has kind of all this really, really funny stuff on the bottom and everything like that. So that's kind of really fun to touch. And then if I look for something smooth, the surface of this table is very, very smooth. So that's really, really quite nice. And I have something here that I am going to be using for a sense of taste, but it's a mango. So I'm touching this mango, which is really kind of like, I don't know, it's a bit hard, a bit squishy. It's been in the refrigerator, so, kind of, but yeah, it's kind of like slightly slimy. I like mango, I really do, but some people find it too slimy, so, and you might, and that's okay, Anyway, so those are things that I've been touching. And smell. The thing about smell is it's a very special sense, because the thing about smell is it goes straight up to your brain. You get an instant reaction to smell, And so when I smell rosemary, because I've smelled rosemary a lot, it brings memories. It brings all sorts of memories and thoughts, and it just instantly, it's like magic. It's like a time transporter. It can take you back in time to the last time that you smelled that. That's why smell is a very, very special sense. And so 2 things that I can smell is I can smell the rosemary. And I can smell the lavender. And I know these are both plants. There's a lot of other things that have smell that you might not think about. Like the mango. I wouldn't normally pick up a mango and go, what's that smell like? But ooh, that smells very sweet. So I know I've cheated. That's 3 things. It only needed to be 2 things. But, I really encourage you to go out and smell as many things as you can. And then the last sense is taste. What can you taste right now? I can taste the toothpaste that I brushed my teeth with, and I can also taste a bit of the lemonade. It's not a great combo, those two things, you know? So I can taste two things at once. It's not great. I probably should have thought about not drinking lemonade immediately after brushing my teeth. But, you know, there you go. You live and learn, right? So what can you taste right now? And one of the things I might want to taste is my mango. Oh, it's really good. It's really, really nice. Isn't it lovely that we have all these summer fruits? We have all these things that we wouldn't normally have. So it's a really, really nice time of the year to be thinking about all five senses. It's a little bit more challenging when we get into sort of other parts of the year when we don't have things growing in the way that they do. But for right now, I would encourage you to go around and kind of just think about the taste and really take the time to just focus on that one sense. Okay, so the taste at one moment, maybe the smell at another moment. And those are the two things I want to focus on. And I didn't think about this until later. So last week I talked about focusing on smell and taste because those are things that are very difficult in some ways to get into drama. You know, we don't normally, we watch, we listen, you know, we might touch the arm of our chair as we're watching the theater, but taste and smell are not necessarily things that are easily incorporated into making theater and making drama. And I wanted to focus on them for that reason. And then I realized that if some people who get the coronavirus lose taste and smell. And I thought, wow, that wasn't something I thought about until after I decided that we were going to focus on taste and smell this week. And so I thought it would be really, really important perhaps to do the first story about the coronavirus and the kind of the impact that it's had on somebody. And so I'm going to create a character, and this character is going to be called Violet. And Violet wears a hat. I think it's always fun to work with hats. Like if you just you don't have to have a special hat or anything. I mean, this is my hat, and it was just kind of lying around. So I kind of grabbed it. And you can absolutely use anything. You could use a scarf, absolutely anything. And this is a story about Violet. And I am an older lady. So I'm a little bit more hunched. Not that all older ladies are, but this Violet is. She kind of brings her shoulders here. So her physically, she's a little bit different. And because she brings her shoulders forward, it impacts on her back a bit. So Violet stands a little bit differently than I do. And Violet loves to walk. So Violet's walking. And she's walking down her street. And her street is up a hill. And she's very fit. She's quite physical. She can walk a long way. And Violet's walking. And it's actually a sunny day. It's not that warm. So maybe she's got a little cardigan on her. And Violet's walking up the hill. And at the top of the hill are woods. Not a very big wood. Just, you know, a wood in her neighborhood. And she walks up to the entrance. And there's a little stone wall with a cutout in it. And the cutout is just big enough for somebody to kind of just sidle in along. And so Violet gets herself through that little cutout. And she steps down onto the forest floor. Oh, the little wood. Oh, it's so nice. Now, Violet doesn't have bare feet that she's feeling the earth with. But, you know, if you just feel the earth. Feel that forest floor underneath you. Feel, oh, that's nice. Oh, that feels really good. It feels really soft and very spongy after being on the pavement and the walking on the pavement and how that impacts on your whole body. So now being on the forest floor is really, really different. Oh, and Violet walks through. She smells. And she comes to this wood every single day to smell. And the first thing she does is she gets in, she goes, she has a great big whiff. But on this day, Violet doesn't smell. She can't smell anything. And she thinks that's really, really strange. So she walks over, she sees a lavender plant. And she often would just run her fingers over the lavender and smell it. Smell the lavender in her hand. Nothing. It makes her a little bit nervous. She feels fine otherwise. She's absolutely okay. It's really, really not a problem. This is really, really, really concerning. So she carries on walking and she thinks, okay, maybe my nose is just blocked, but it isn't. It doesn't feel blocked. It doesn't, she blows her nose a couple times and it just doesn't seem to work. Nothing seems to work. What's going on? So Violet continues her walk home and her shoulders are a little bit more hunched over and she feels a little bit more hunched over and she feels worried. Because when we feel worried, we often do this, don't we? She feels a bit fearful, a bit scared. Why would she lose her sense of smell? Especially when it's so important to her. It's so important to her. So Violet turns on the television. She sits down when she gets home. And then she hears that one of the symptoms of the coronavirus is losing your sense of smell. And she feels very, very upset about that. But she looks after herself. She takes care. She tells her neighbors on her WhatsApp group so she doesn't go and see them. And people bring her food. And what she learns about her neighbors over that time is how kind and generous and thoughtful they are. And they look after Violet. And about maybe a week later, Violet ventures out into her garden. And she's still feeling okay. She just feels a bit funny about the whole situation. And there, she's growing some basil. And she goes and she smells it just automatically. She doesn't even think about it. And guess what? She can smell again. And she is so happy. And her shoulders come back and she throws her hands up in the air and she says, hooray! I can smell again. And we take these things for granted. Violet was very appreciative of her sense of smell. But even more so after she lost it and it came back again. So that's my story about Violet, who lost her sense of smell because of the coronavirus. Do you think if you lost your sense of smell, you would notice it? And do you think if you did notice it, when? Would you notice it right away that you couldn't smell anything? And what are your favorite smells? What are the things that you really, really like? Maybe there's a favorite meal that you have and it really, really smells good. Right? I can tell you right now, this is one of my favorite smells. It's coffee. And it's coffee, and I have ground these beans, and it is so delicious. And I have 1 cup of coffee in the day, and it is precious to me. And all because it starts with the smell, and then it moves to the taste. Absolutely magic, absolutely important. So kind of being aware of these things about what's important to us and the way that smells make us feel, connecting sort of something like smelling and tasting to feeling, not something that we normally think about, but as actors and doing drama and telling stories, it's so much better if we can actually involve all of our senses, especially those senses that we don't normally think about. So we're going to move on to a story about taste. I'm just going to shake off the last story and say goodbye to Violet. Thank you, Violet. Thank you for your story. Okay? And this one is about a baker. So a couple weeks ago, I went to a bakery and I bought I don't know if it's going to fit on me. I think it might be for somebody with a much smaller head. But I went to a bakery and I bought a cake. And I'm really, really sorry. There is none of that cake left. I'm terribly sorry that there isn't any because it was absolutely so delicious. Can I just tell you, it was lemon and it was really cool and refreshing. They call it a lemon cooler cake. And I was very surprised because when I got home and I opened up the bag and I saw the cake, there was this nifty hat there. And I thought, oh, that's cool. I like that. I like that hat. And I don't quite know what I was meant to do with the hat. So I thought I'd bring it to you. I'd bring it to the session. And actually, maybe we could figure out something to do with it. But I thought, hey, let's make this a story about baking and about the sense of taste and how important it is. So this is a story about, a baker. And her name is Margarita. And Margarita loves to cook and she loves to bake, and she's really, 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 really good at it. And one day she wants to make a very, very special meal. She wants to make a very special dessert for her daughter because it's her daughter's birthday. And she thinks and she thinks and she thinks. She thinks, how can I make this incredibly special meal? And she really tries to kind of be in her daughter's shoes and kind of be her daughter for a minute. She thinks, what does my daughter really love? What are the tastes that she really loves? And she identifies everything that her daughter really loves in terms of inventing something absolutely wonderful. So she goes out and she gets the rosemary. Not always in many desserts, rosemary, right? So she goes out and she gets the rosemary, and then she gets a special kind of sugar. And then her daughter can't eat gluten, so she has to get a very special kind of flour. And then she brings together almonds. And she thinks about all of these beautiful tastes and how they're going to mingle all together to create this very special, unique, and wonderful gift that she has made for her daughter. So Margarita gathers everything together and she puts it all and she puts it into the oven and she falls asleep. And she's devastated because she's a professional. She's got the hat. The hat proves it. The hat proves that she's a professional. How could she fall asleep? How could she burn the cake? How could she burn this perfect cake for her daughter, for her beautiful daughter, for her birthday? And she runs to the kitchen, and the cake's not there. And the oven's off. And she can smell it. And she realizes it doesn't smell burnt. And then she goes into the dining room. There is her daughter with this beautiful, unique creation with candles on it. And the daughter's all ready to have her mother sing happy birthday to her because she came home, she realized what was happening, and she rescued the cake. Woo! That's a very short story because we were kind of running out of time. I'm sorry about that. So anyway, it's time to say goodbye to Margarita. And it's time to really say goodbye for today. I just want to thank my special guests. So Rosemary and Basil and Lavender, plus coffee and lemonade and mango and you. I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank you for joining me this week. I'd like to say that next week I'm going to have another special guest, but this special guest is not going to be a plant. This special guest is actually going to be a person. So I have a very special guest who's going to join me in the studio next week because I really love making drama and making stories, and this is a lot of fun, and there's a lot of things that we can do on our own, but I don't know if you agree with me, that it's even better when there's somebody else with you, at least one other person. So next week we're going to be meeting at the same time, on the same day. So it'll be 3 o'clock in the afternoon for you on Monday, 10 o'clock in the morning for me on Monday. And if you want to bring along a special guest of your own, and maybe you can try some of these things out, we love it. I would absolutely love that. And if in the meantime you want to create some stories using all of your senses, or maybe just one, please let us know at the point. Email us, let us know how things are going. We'd love to hear your stories, okay? So have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye now. Bye.